Welcome to Midlife Butterfly, where transformation gets real through every twist and turn of your journey. When you are empowered and fully love yourself, you'll embrace the messy, magical process of transformation with open arms. I am Ken as you, and this is your space to feel seen, heard, and inspired by real talk. So you don't just create a life you love, you live it every single day with unapologetic joy and freedom. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back. Trusting that you are having a vibrant day. And if it's not the case, please take the time to take a deep breath together and sigh it out. This is going to be a potent and loving episode. Yes, we're starting this podcast in full, my loves. Remember in my brief of 4-to-1 journey? Well, this is the number one. The wake-up call that brought a full soul awakening to me. I was already in the process of it. Yeah. But to tell you the truth, fuck. Really, nobody will be ready for this. Never. And I'm talking about the transition of my father, meaning he's passing away from this human experience. That's the last transition we might encounter in this life, right? So better to enjoy the journey at any level. It doesn't matter where exactly on the roller coaster ride you might be now, up, down, it doesn't matter. As Sis said, these too shall pass. And I'm going to tell you this story. This was back in September 2019. And so I was at the office. I was in a meeting. And then I took a break to go to the washroom. And then I went to my desk just to check my phone real quick, my mobile phone. And then I realized that my sister was calling me. I had several lost calls from her. And so I called her back. She was very desperate because she couldn't reach me. And what she said was that our father had a stroke and he was in the hospital. The next day, I took a flight back home. It really felt that it has been the longest trip ever. Even Australia felt closer. And, like being on the plane with a foggy mind, like very afraid of the unknown and what was going on. And, all these emotions and fear and anger and frustration all together at the same time. Anyway, so when I finally made it home, one of my cousins picked me up, and then from there we drove to our hometown. And by the time I arrived, my siblings were already waiting for me outside the hospital, and it was already off hours, but of course, they allowed us to come in. My mom was there with my father, and it was so freaking heartbreaking seeing him there, lying down in a bed, unconscious, with a lot of equipment around. And we talked to him, the four of us. And we actually told him that if it was his time to go, we will accept it. That he has given us all he could, all the love, all the material stuff, all his presence, whatever. whatever, we embrace it, we cherish it, we were honored to be there for him and for him to give us life to us. And I had the privilege to be one night at the hospital taking care of him. And I talked to him and I wrote to him. And the next day, as soon as my sister and one of my cousins arrived, the doctor came and he told us that he could be in that state of unconsciousness for days or months or longer, So I went home and I talked to my mom and my brother, and we decided that, yeah, it was best if he would be at home with us. So it would be easier, right, to take care of him and people to come and visit and whatever else. And we finally got everything ready the next day in the evening. Like a hospital bed, oxygen tank, whatever it was needed for him to have him at home. And that night, my mom stood with him at the hospital and they gave him food for the first time with a tube, of course. And he passed away right after. I want to think that one of the reasons was that he was also a foodie like me. So he said, if I'm going to be eating this, like, hell no. And the number one value of my father was respect. And I do believe that because of that respect, he didn't want to come back home. Respect for my mother, respect to our home, that he didn't want it to be a burden. So he chose to leave. And despite the pain and the sorrow, and that I felt like literally my heart like broke like a piece of glass on the floor, all shattered. We have received so many learning lessons from that. And that's what I want to share with you. Because I know it's difficult for us to really face those kind of situations. Because again, like if it's our parents or our caregivers, they are pillars in our lives. And one of the things that I learned is acceptance. Even though it was fucking painful, I did accept it. I knew that that was his time to go, that he gave us all. And I felt loved for him and care, and my family as well. And that acceptance, even with the pain on it, it really helped us, or helped me, to avoid suffering. Because as it is well said, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. And it's true. So by accepting that, even with the pain and the sorrow and everything, it just saved me so much suffering. And I also could see that in my mom. Another learning lesson is that it helped me really like realize not to take time and life for granted. it can go like in a second. That morning, he woke up, he made a bed, he went to the washroom, and he's there when he had the stroke. And he screamed so hard that then my mom came. By the time the ambulance was there, he was already unconscious. And I am so grateful that he actually waited for all of us. I was the last sibling to arrive, and by the time I got there, it was already, family, cousins, uncles, aunts, all in there. So don't take life for granted. And at the same time, don't take it that fucking seriously. Oh my God, I really used to stress myself so much, with my perfectionism and control and all those things. And it was just like, yeah, not taking life so seriously. Let's play, let's have fun, let's enjoy, let's embrace whatever it is. And it was incredible. The most, I think this has been the most overwhelming experience I have had so far. And so we were at the church. My father was cremated, so we were at the mass over there. By the time we arrived, of course, we were kind of like the first ones. The church was almost empty. We were on the first rows. And so we are there. And so the mass is happening. And by the time it finished, just on our left side, there was the little room with all the niches, So I actually was the one taking my father ashes. And so we went all in there. And the thing is, in those moments, you are so like foggy, uh, so much sadness, so much grief, so much pain, like so much of anything. uh, that so we went to this area where the niches were. They put the ashes inside one of the niches, and when I turn around, like when we turn around, we were not able to get out of it. There was so much people. I couldn't believe it. So many people that crossed my father's life. There was a couple of ladies who actually he lived with them when he just arrived to my hometown in the 1970s. There was actually, I forgot to mention this at the hospital. Actually, the guy from the gas station went to visit him twice. He actually managed to save some money to take a taxi to go to the hospital to visit him. Then my nephew gave him a ride back home. So it was all these people in there. We felt like so suffocated because we couldn't get out of there, but at the same time, that overwhelmed the feeling of all the love felt in there. Wow. Wow. His journey definitely touched so many lives. So many lives. And he left us that empire of love. So powerful. So beautiful. so overwhelming. And the last lesson that I want to share with you today is to question it all. With the sudden departure of my father, like it really made me question my life. Like, was being happy in my marriage? Do I enjoy my work? Do I feel like I have a fulfilling life? So many questions, one after the other one. And most of the answers to those questions were no. And I didn't realize I was living in a comfort zone. I fall into that. And by questioning all, it gave me really the power to choose, the power to choose so I could create a different life, because I didn't realize like this comfort zone is, I was stuck in there. It's not that you need to question in, like in a, well, when we actually question it, it has to be in a way of being objective. There's nothing wrong or right. It's simple just seeing it from the eyes of just question it and what is. And my invitation here is to really question your beliefs, your patterns, your programs, the relationship with yourself, the relationship with your partner, with others. Question your perceptions, question your culture, your religion, question everything. Because I think it's a lot of them, they don't even come from us. They don't even come from you. They come from the collective. And that's how we actually get into living in autopilot, because we're just following what others are doing. It has such a gift, the transition of my father. I still keep learning from him, really. Different things I might share eventually. And one of the things that I want you to understand is that since this death is the ultimate transition, it's important that we choose to learn from there. Grieving is different for each person, and I believe and I realize it's different for each person because of our relationship with that specific person. But take the time to really to process, either if it's the loss of someone, if it's a separation, if it's that you become empty nester, if it's like you move to a new city or country, if it's that you changed careers or got a new job, whatever it is, whatever transition you're going, take the time to self-grieve. That's the only way you're going to be able to move to a different chapter, to a different state with flow and joy in a way. Because even though when sometimes in those transitions we're fearful because of course it's the unknown, but at the same time, is joyful, right? And remember that you are the creator of your reality. And the more you get to bring these questions, the more conscious you become of what you are experiencing, you're gonna start shifting and leaving that autopilot, because it's time for you to start living the life that you deserve and desire. It's time to get out of the fucking comfort zone, because the truth is, only out of it is where magic exists. So let's create magic. We're here for that. We deserve it. We deserve it. Have a beautiful day. Much love to you. Thank you for tuning into Midlife Butterfly. If this episode lit a spark in you, hit that subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you love to listen, so you'll never miss the magic. If you're feeling generous, drop a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps this empowering content reach more souls ready to transform their lives. And don't forget to take a photo of you while listening and share it on your socials. You can tag me at KenAsYou so I can celebrate you and your expansion. Until next time, keep spreading those wings and living in joy, growth, and pleasure.